I want to talk about a preferable future curriculum. I belong to Generation X, and you would characterise me as reckless and live for the day, not concerned about a future because it was all going to end in nuclear war. But now I'm a mummy and I very much care about the future for my daughter. However, I am too scared about the future. I'm too scared to act. It's all doomed. One catastrophic version after another. I'm in a state of panic. My husband, on the other hand, well, he doesn't really think that we can make any difference. What difference does one person make if they try and change the world? There's too many problems. It's not his responsibility. His head is in the sand. Neither of us can act on our future. We're caught between anxiety and apathy. We are symptomatic of society, according to Facer et al. In their document, Building Agencies in an Uncertain Future. But if education is the process by which young people learn to master the symbolic, notational systems of society, we need to be very careful about what we are teaching and what example we're setting. How do we cope with a rapidly changing idea of the future? The future is always uncertain, of course, but with huge developments rapidly advancing in front of our eyes, things are different than they've ever been before. Global warming, globalization, the rapid expansion of technology, natural disasters, economic crises, social media being able to sway opinion polls when nobody believed they would be able to. Can we survive? Or will we just about survive? Can we thrive? And can we nurture? Instead of knowing the future, we need to find ways to live and act with not knowing the future, perhaps. If we go back to how the education system that we know today came about, then we would learn that it's a fusion of the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. Sasha Matthewman describes it as a curriculum that belongs to a carbon-depleting era. Basically, it's outdated and broken, some of us might even say. And although we know it's not working, many of us teachers, we're holding on to it, or the government's holding on to it, or policymakers are holding on to it. That which we can control, we're holding on to. But it's not working. We're just carrying on doing the same old. Teachers know it. Parents know it. Pupils know it. A year 8 girl said to me that we probably won't use any of the stuff we learn in schools. We need to learn. So we're just employing and indulging in used futures. We're just doing what we did, but that's not relevant anymore. Like the zombies in Dawn of the Dead, who just flock to the malls to consume. They're just doing what they did when they were alive. What is possible? Futures theories, as discussed by Facer et al. And Inayatullah, and possibility thinking, as discussed by Anna Kraft, gives us some options that the future doesn't have to be so doomed. It can be more open and undetermined, like I view it, and we can have some control over what we do, unlike my husband's point of view. So in terms of education, Anna Kraft talks about the probable, the possible and the preferable in terms of the curriculum, the capabilities and processes. But when the task seems too huge, we just need to focus on part of it. We can't change it all. And I think the curriculum is something that we can look at and see a way forward. Here I have adapted the probable, possible and preferable from Anna Craft. And in probable we have the same old, but we do have a notion of where we want to go. Most school brochures and school websites will talk about personalised learning and innovative approaches and confidence and enterprise and high achievement. But what moves are we really making for that? But I see it as an intersection between the probable and the possible. That is part of the way. We just need to move to a state where those things are completely possible and we're not just stuck with the processes that we have. But in that intersection, we do have to acknowledge that a lot of those efforts to make a sustainable curriculum, which is what Matthew Mann talks about, are tokenistic. Many schools will have Earth Days and recycling days and campaigns, but they're not part of the curriculum. They're often seen as treats and would feature in the last week of term, for example. I have been at a school where water aid was recognised by water fights and dunking the teachers. So tokenistic and really missing the point there about what water aids are supposed to be about. But of course you won't find anyone in education who won't say that sustainability isn't important. Just like the quote from Swinjdow that he's not been able to find anyone against sustainability, but most just keep doing business as usual. So in a way of moving from the probable to the possible in terms of curriculum, I would like to look at Sasha Matthewman and her paper Post-Carbon Challenge of Curriculum Subjects. Now, geography seems like an obvious one in which to start if we're talking about a sustainable curriculum, a curriculum that will prepare our young for a future that is different from the one we have now. However, Matthewman notes that in the past there's been a heavy reliance on natural causes for events when links must be made with global, social, economic and political decisions and outcomes. English. Matthewman talks about how English was the texts used in English were responses and reactions against the harshness of the industrialised world, and they were meant to soften the blow, as it were. So by carefully selecting different texts that show us alternative futures that we can imagine and possible outcomes that can be realised, they can be a powerful tool in preparing young people. And I would add the powerful skill of debating, which is often sidelined to extracurricular activities. There will be some students who make those scientific and mathematical breakthroughs, but other students need to be able to communicate the ideas and the issues and raise awareness. And that may be through debating, or it may be through the arts, perhaps drama, music, or dance perhaps. I will go a little further with the curriculum subjects than Matthewman has and talk about maths, which is often left out of even project topic planning in primary education. But maths has got so many different branches that are not really used at a lower level. Like decision maths, for example. It calls itself real life maths. It can provide solutions for finding maximum and minimum amounts of produce that needs to be made. It can find the shortest distance for laying cables for the internet, possibly. Matthewman also refers to the Routledge series, which includes teaching secondary maths as if the planet doesn't matter, which gives lots of ideas about how to teach a sustainable mathematics curriculum. History needs to be the precursor for every subject and issue. The subject can teach us when countries are employing used futures from a colonial world and teach us about their failures. And despite going some way to moving towards a possible curriculum, a multidisciplinary approach is preferable. Phenomenon-based learning approach from Finland. So Finland have taken the bold step very recently, much publicised, that they are scrapping curriculum subjects. Now, on closer inspection, that is not actually the case just yet, but they are making moves in that direction. Change is difficult to bring about. Pupils need to engage in multidisciplinary learning modules, MLs, and within basic education they need to engage in one of those at least per year. The aim is to harness transversal competencies that cross the boundaries of individual subjects, and the key is that the pupils are active in planning the objectives, content and working methods. There is clear links to constructivism and problem-based theories of learning, and the teacher role is to facilitate the journey, not be controlling necessarily, but carefully select when to give the input and recognise the zone of proximal development, the difference between what a child can achieve without the support from a peer, a more advanced peer or a teacher, and what they can with that support. However, my idea of a preferable future curriculum would be to start with a question and to work back using all the skills, whatever subject that might be, to be able to find solutions. Teachers are no longer the knowledge givers. If we're just looking to provide evidence and there's a right answer, it clearly isn't working, because we don't really know what the questions are yet. We need to find out what those questions are and work backwards from there. Thank you for listening.